Welcome to today's Explainer. We're diving straight into a totally fascinating historical account from the first book of Kings, specifically chapter 3, verses 1 through 15. It's a profound narrative that has literally shaped how humans understand leadership, humility, and decision-making for over 3,000 years. It's really a story about power, extreme vulnerability, and the ultimate test of character. Let's get right into it. Okay, so the source sets the scene with this incredibly dramatic, almost cinematic shift in power. Israel has just entered a brand new era, and the air is just thick with uncertainty. The legendary warrior king David has passed away. Now, I want you to imagine the sheer magnitude of this moment. You've got a nation that's been unified, expanded, and fiercely protected by this larger-than-life figure for decades. And suddenly, he's gone. This isn't just a simple transition of power. It creates a massive, echoing leadership vacuum at the highest possible level. You know, in the ancient world, the death of a strong king was often the exact moment rival nations would pounce. So the stakes, they couldn't possibly be higher.
And this brilliantly illustrates the heavy burden of legacy. You have David, seasoned, powerful, proven on the battlefield, a man who basically built an empire from the ground up. And stepping into those giant shoes is his son, Solomon. Solomon is young, he's completely inexperienced in the brutal art of ancient statecraft. And as the text makes abundantly clear, he is feeling the full, crushing weight of reality. He's buckling under the overwhelming responsibility of leading this massive population. He's terrified of failing his people and his father's memory. Honestly, it's a profound case of imposter syndrome, but happening on a royal, national scale where millions of lives are impacted by his every single move.
Section 1. The Ultimate Blank Check.
The narrative transitions here from the noisy, high-pressure halls of the palace to something much more intimate and quiet. The daytime panic fades into the dead of night. Right in the thick of Solomon's overwhelming anxiety, when his defenses are totally down and his mind is just racing with all the ways he could ruin his father's kingdom, the text tells us that God appears to him in a dream. And this isn't just some comforting vision, it's a direct encounter. The Creator actually steps into Solomon's subconscious to present him with an extraordinary, life-altering opportunity. The sheer, terrifying magnitude of the offer being presented to him is, it's staggering. Ask for whatever you want me to give you. Just think about that for a second. This isn't a genie in a lamp offering 3 carefully worded wishes. There are no caveats here, no fine print limitations. It is the ultimate, unrestricted, blank check from the divine creator himself. It's a phenomenal test of a person's heart and their true desires, all wrapped up in an infinite promise. Actually, I want you to pause and really think about this for yourself. If the creator of the universe handed you a blank check tonight, what is the very first thing you would ask for? Would it be security? Financial freedom? Maybe perfect health? Total influence? By asking this, we completely bridge that 3,000-year historical gap right into our daily lives today. It forces us to confront our own deepest priorities and our most immediate anxieties, exactly like the young king had to confront his. Section 2. The choice for wisdom. The young king's response to this blank check totally defies all natural human expectation. It's the absolute pivot point of the entire narrative. The contrast here is stark. Let's be honest, a young, intensely insecure king surrounded by potentially hostile nations would naturally ask for immense wealth to secure his borders, or unmatched power to crush his enemies, or, simply a long, prosperous, healthy life to enjoy his royal status. But Solomon entirely bypasses these predictable, self-serving desires. Instead, he asks solely for the wisdom to govern the people effectively. He asks for a discerning heart to distinguish between right and wrong. He openly recognizes his own inadequacy and asks for the specific practical tool required to do the job he was assigned, rather than just asking for the perks of the position. So the absolutely crucial point here is the reaction to this choice. The text explicitly notes that God is deeply pleased by this selfless, responsibility-focused request. Because Solomon didn't ask for selfish gain, the Creator immediately grants the young king unmatched wisdom. The source material emphasizes that there would be no one quite like him before or after. He is given the very discernment he asked for to navigate the monumental task of leadership.
Section 3. 3 Timeless Teachings.
Now that we've walked through the narrative events, let's shift gears from historical storytelling into some insightful analysis.
We need to walk through this progression of spiritual logic found in the text, because these three teachings matter immensely for our own modern decision-making, whether you're running a business, leading a family, or just managing your own life. First, the source shows that God values humility. Solomon admitted he was basically like a little child who didn't know how to carry out his royal duties. That raw self-awareness and lack of ego was the prerequisite for his blessing. Second, wisdom is greater than wealth. By prioritizing a discerning mind over material riches, Solomon shows the internal asset that actually sustains a nation, rather than external, fleeting wealth. And third, the narrative illustrates that God blesses those who prioritize a higher purpose, or who seek His kingdom first, above their own comfort. Because Solomon focused entirely on his duty to serve others, the text notes he was eventually granted the wealth and honor he didn't even ask for, as a completely natural byproduct of his good choice.
Section 4. The ultimate cliffhanger.
Before we wrap up this explainer, I need to warn you that this story doesn't just end with a happy, well-adjusted young king. Far from it, actually. This initial success sets the stage for a massive historical and psychological tension that plays out in the later chapters of his life. Which leads us to this final thought. What happens when God gives a man absolutely everything he could ever want? Unmatched wisdom, unprecedented wealth, total peace on all sides, and absolute power. Does having it all guarantee a perfect finish? Or does it introduce an entirely new set of complex, perilous temptations? I want to leave you with that provocative, lingering question drawn straight from the source's thematic cliffhanger. It's a fascinating look into human nature and the complexities of ultimate success. Thanks so much for joining me today. I hope this deep dive into the ancient text has given you some great insights and sparked a new curiosity. Until next time, keep seeking wisdom.